morning, Stephen.
Morning, Keith.
I understand that you're a bit of an expert on blogging. Is that right?
I think it's probably not right, but I have been blogging for about a year now, just over a year, and I thought it might be worth saying why I started, because a very specific thing occurred which caused me to become a blogger. It was last autumn, and you remember that there was the Occupy protest outside St Paul's. And I was preaching in Durham Cathedral and preparing my sermon, and I thought this was of sufficient interest to be part of the sermon. And I started banging away into my computer what I wanted to write. And after a while I realised, 2 or 3 pages in, that while this was what I thought, it didn't belong in the pulpit of Durham Cathedral. Yet it was too important to me just to kind of cast it away. And so at that moment, I interrupted my sermon preparation and thought, how do I set up a blog? And this will be my first blog.
Well, so how did you know that these things called blogs existed?
Oh, actually, I don't know the answer to that question. It's been in the back of my mind for some while. Actually, I thought about blogging a few years earlier, or a couple of years earlier, and someone said to me, no, it's a very serious time commitment. You have to deal with all the comments, and you have to moderate it and all that. It's a whole load of work. So I had thought about it in the past of putting things up. I can't actually tell you, though, how I knew.
So it's just something you'd heard in terms of the buzz around?
I'd heard, and I guess I'd read a few blogs.
Okay, that's interesting. So I believe you use WordPress as your blog platform.
Yes, that's right. I tell you what, I knew Nick Baines quite well because we were in neighbouring parishes at one point, and he'd been a blogger for some while. And so I looked up his blog, which I had seen before, saw he used WordPress. I thought, okay, I'll just use WordPress then. Earlier this week, I did raise the question through Twitter, actually, of which was the better platform, Blogger or WordPress. And most of the parish clergy thinking of going into blogging. The response came back instantly from the Digital Nun, whom you can follow on Twitter if you like, herself a blogger. WordPress every time, she said. And I then asked her why, and she came out with reasons about its functionality, its adaptability, and its capacity to have many plugins which make life easier. Certainly, I found WordPress entirely satisfactory. In preparation for today, I did set up a blog on Blogger, on Blogspot, and that was okay, but actually it doesn't seem to have quite as many things that you can do with it. And so I'll be happy to stay with WordPress.
That's interesting because that kind of leads us back to the question about what service do we use that someone posed earlier with regard to social media. Now, with blogging platforms, Blogger was one of the first. WordPress is used by everybody. That's very, very well known. But I guess what's probably not known is that there are 2 flavours of WordPress. In fact, there are 3 flavours of WordPress. WordPress has a website, wordpress.com, where you can create a free account, and that free account allows you to very quickly set stuff up and get blogging. But the disadvantage of that is that your blog is viewed by people and it has adverts on it. Also, you can pay for it, can't you, where you can remove those adverts, which might be interesting if adverts clutter things. But there is a third flavour, which is that WordPress is what's termed open source software, and you can download it and install it on your own website, which is another term as well. And that allows you then to build the functionality of a website, but with a very powerful blog engine, so a writing engine. You mentioned the Digital Nun. At Digital Nun on Twitter, a very wise lady, actually. Franciscan?
No, she's Benedictine.
Benedictine.
Yeah, and it's certainly worth following what she has to say. She's tweeted a bit today and probably going to blog as well, I suspect, on St Anselm.
Yep.
She tends to mark the year like
I mean, she runs a technology blog as well, doesn't she? I mean, she actually actively looks around for all good things in technology that can be used within the Christian message, and she actually tweets and blogs about it.
Yeah, and a lot of it goes over my head, but nonetheless, it's
a very interesting lady. I did get a chance to meet her actually a few months ago. She's quite interesting.
She uses Twitter well in that she interacts. So she's not only a broadcaster, she's an engager. So as I said earlier, she was the first to reply to that question I put out.
And so your style of blogging is to actually write quite substantive pieces that are thought-provoking, aren't they?
Well, it's very nice of you to suggest that. I'll show you inside my app, my WordPress process app, just in a second here. If provided we can go.
You might turn your Wi-Fi off and go on your 3G.
Oh, it's
And anyway,
Sorry.
while Stephen sorts that out, the difference between a blog and a microblog is a blog is unlimited in terms of length. You can certainly embed pictures. You can make it look almost like magazine articles, and lots of people do that. A microblog is this idea of saying what you've got to say in very, very short terms. So whether that is 140 characters or a paragraph, that's the difference between microblogging and full-blown blogging. There we go.
Okay.
We're back up.
Yeah, so I actually run two blogs, and they serve different purposes. The first one I set up is called Another Angle, and that's the one we're looking at now, or at least we're looking at the list of recent posts. And as you can see, I've been fairly busy with this one just late. I've been on a bit of a roll because various things have been on my mind that I wanted to say something about. The most recent one is an idea for Advent, which came out of something I experienced last week. Went to a day run by an outfit called Livability in London, and they're particularly concerned with helping parishes to reach out to their community in a sort of positive social action kind of way, which, as you know, is something they're trying to develop here. And they had some input about positive psychology and happiness. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to try and connect up happiness with Advent? And that's what that blog was about. The one before that, you might recognise that Rowan and Justin are the names of the current and the next Archbishop. And that's a little kind of article which is saying, what do these guys have in common? And that's proved to be actually quite a popular blog. I did put that out last Saturday morning fairly early. I think it had about 800 hits during the day, and it's been quite a big lot of interest in that since. And then various things, you can see the sort of thing I'm thinking about. Quite a lot of Archbishop of Canterbury stuff there for one reason or other. I did this one. Not many people have read this one on Eric Lomax. I wanted to do that. Eric Lomax wrote a book called The Railway Man. He was a Japanese prisoner of war, and I wrote about him in my book on forgiveness. And I wanted to write something about him really short on the day that he died, just a kind of testimony to him. Really, I thought that was because actually his story of forgiveness, I think, has got a lot to teach people about forgiving. Occasionally, I write the odd poem and things. Oh, Salman Rushdie. I wrote something about Salman Rushdie's when his autobiography came out, because actually during 5 years into the fatwa, I was involved in inviting him to speak somewhere, and it was quite an interesting and extremely scary kind of occasion, so I thought that was an interesting thing to reflect on as well.
Can I just interject? Those people that are videoing, if you videoed more than 3 minutes, you can't put it on Twitter. So you have to edit it. So you might want to keep starting and stop.
Stop and start again.
Yeah.
Let me just show you the kind of functionality you get with this. This is somewhat limited because it's on the app. You get more when you go on the website, but this will be the easiest way to do it today. So if we go on this one, this gives me the comments that people have made on my blog. The first, this is all completely confusing because the poor guy wanted to comment on one thing and put it in the wrong place. So you get, oh, this is quite a nice one. I did this. I did a blog about. Actually, this was Keith's idea. He said, "Why don't you do a blog something like 7 great things about the Diocese of Durham?" So I went away and thought for about 6 weeks to see what I could come up with. And what I did was we discussed it with my colleagues in the resource team, and we came up with a list of these things. I went home and then turned it into kind of blog speak and put it up on the website. So it's up there, you could look at it. And Richard Dymel added to it, which I thought was great. We have Celtic saints and aspirants who stick together as clergy and lay ministers. And then there was a third one, making 10 altogether. So again, that's quite nice and interactive. If you want to look at the site, this is what this. Oh no, let's do that. I'm going to do this one. This is the statistics page, and it won't show that either. How very frustrating.
If you turn off the Wi-Fi and use your 3G, then you'll be okay.
Okay, it's using 3G, but I need to turn off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's probably using the Wi-Fi as the preference because it's cheaper for you. The top bit.
We'll just, I think it's, I mean, I was.
It's probably just reload that app, maybe.
Let's go back.
There we go.
One of the, this is not the most interesting of the blogs. This one is perhaps more intriguing to people. Oh no, just go to the 7 great things about the dinosaurs. Don't see if you agree with them. One of the things that WordPress gives you is a whole range of templates that you can use so that your blog can look different depending on how you want it to look. I can't remember what this one is called. This is how it looks like, more or less how it looks like to anyone who would look at it. At the top of the page, there's this feature here, so you can read about who's written it, and then I put something else up as well that's a study